Welcome to Viking Voices, the people of Princeton. I'm your proud superintendent, Tom Burton, and along with my great co-host,
Marielle Smith.
who's absolutely a superstar, part of the great graduating class of 2023. We're going to hear from Marielle here in a little bit. But right in the middle of us, Dee Davis, who's our wellness coordinator at Princeton, and that is the most important job that she has, and has done a great job in wellness coordinator doing that. But you're here to talk about something else.
Yes, sir.
So what other role do you have in the district?
Well, I'm the high school girls basketball coach for Princeton, and we managed to win a state championship this year.
Just a little thing called the state championship.
Just a little thing.
That's great. So congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
I know you've been on kind of a world tour, it
Yes.
seems like. Can you talk a little bit about some of the places you've been after winning the state championship, and then we'll talk more about that later.
Absolutely. I mean, pretty much all of our communities within our school district has invited us to come to their council meetings, and they've given us proclamations as well as naming the day after us. So it's been pretty awesome to have that recognition from our community, and the Cincinnati has been so welcoming. The state is planning to recognize us as well, so we have another one coming up in the near future.
So Marielle and we were talking earlier, and we heard that when they named it the Princeton High School Girls Basketball Championship Day in Hamilton County, that you were driving all over the place recklessly, hoping to be pulled over. She'd be like, "Nope, it's my day."
You know what? I
That's
didn't
not
get
true?
any. I didn't get any perks on that.
Okay,
day.
okay, all right.
I didn't want to test the waters either.
All right. So Marielle, we've talked so many times about the different challenges that we have in general, in school, in life, and all that stuff. Could you imagine being on a basketball team trying to beat all these teams that are gunning for you?
Wow, I could not imagine. And I know it was probably hard for you as coach, keeping your girls focused during that period of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just during that time, you have a lot of outside influences. You have people that are talking. So you're trying to keep a lot of those distractions away from the kids and continuously reminding them of the goal and staying focused on that.
Yeah. Marielle, usually when we go back and forth, we talk about a lot of different things, Coach. And over the course of the year, we've talked about, again, the struggles and all that stuff. So not to go into the negative vein, but what was one area that you feel the team had to overcome? Because you know what happens a lot of times in these programs, it's always so positive. So you get interviewed on ESPN, it's always so positive. Boy, no, that's not how life is.
Right.
So for a message for your team, the kids coming back, who we'll meet in a little bit, and everybody else, what was one thing you had to overcome?
Injury. We had some nagging injuries that prevented us from being able to go as hard as we would have liked in some of our practices. But our kids persevered. They worked hard. The kids that did have some injuries, they worked hard to get back on the floor to be able to help contribute. But we had such a great bench and players that were ready, so we didn't really skip a beat.
Okay. Marielle, you want to ask a follow-up question?
Of course. So I know academics are a huge thing. How did you keep your girls focused while hearing all the outside noise that was going on around them? Because I know that I'm in the classroom every day, so I hear what's going on. All the outside noise can be a lot. So how did you keep your girls focused on academics and basketball at the same time and ignore the outside noise?
Well, that's a byproduct, right? Student athlete, student comes first. And I'm a big stickler on that. So they have academic check-ins with coaches. They have study hall requirements that they have to do, and we check grades. We have those conversations, and we follow up with teachers to make sure that they're upholding their end of the bargain, because that's so important. It's not just about basketball, because at the end of the day, the ball's going to stop bouncing at some point. So we want them to be prepared, know how to persevere, know how to get through adversity, and keep things that are important in the forefront, and that was the academics.
Coach, one of the things that really stuck out to me was that you had a whole bunch of different heroes, if you will. It wasn't just one person that carried the team. Now, certainly when you look at a Soleil Williams, who's Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Ohio and all that stuff, people would tend to look to Soleil, who did have a great game. But she was the fourth leading scorer that day.
Right.
So how do you convince the kids, and I know Soleil, who's a great teammate, understands, she said it didn't matter if she scored 2 or 30.
Right.
It was about winning.
For sure.
So how do you manage all that?
Well, you know, it's tough when you have a large roster of talent.
Oh, unbelievable.
It's tough, but to have those conversations, to remind the kids about the team aspect and knowing that we have players that we can lean on. You know, Soleil being such a great talent offensively, we knew teams were going to focus in on her. So other players had to be ready to go. They had to step up. They had to be ready when their name was called. And I feel our team did a tremendous job just understanding their roles. And they worked hard together. They played for each other, and they were able to get the job done.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just thinking of some shots by Lasagna Hill, and of course Dee Dee and Callie, and the defense of Heaven, who you'll meet Callie and Heaven later. I mean, it was stifling, that defense.
Sure.
Like, I would beat anybody on your team in a one-on-one, but I don't want to play Heaven. I don't want her to deem me out. She's too tough. In fact, we were talking earlier. I mean, dude, people don't know this. This one right here, Marielle, she can hit a three.
Is that right?
No.
Oh.
No.
No.
She hadn't touched the ball in about 22 years, and she's only 18. I don't know how that happens. But, Coach, let's get real serious for a second. So, great accomplishments this year, wonderful team, and I think Amari with a spin move in the semifinals. That stands out to me because at a time when Grafton was making a run, they had a lead, we took a lead, they were making a run, and then she had this spin move. It was great. She's another great young talent you have.
Absolutely.
So what can we look forward to next year?
Well, another year of competitiveness. You know, like you said, defense, that's where we have to hang our hats on. We have Heaven coming back. We have Callie coming back. We have Mari coming back. You know, we have a lot of key players that were vital in our success this season. So just making sure we're grooming the young kids, understanding their roles, continuously working on our culture to build that tenacious, you know, connectivity that we have within our program. Our kids have to know what it means to be a Viking. And, you know, watching us play this past season, I believe our young kids are ready to come in and contribute. I got text messages when we won from 8th graders saying, Coach, we're going to get you some more. And I'm like, wow. You know, so I believe that the bar has been set, and the kids that are coming back, they're excited. The roles are going to change. We have 4 graduates, and we have a lot more to go. So
you heard it here first. Coach D. Davis guaranteed 17 straight state championships. Coach, that's awesome. Hey, this has been a great segment. Stay tuned right after these commercial breaks. We're going to bring 2 unbelievable players here, but you know what? Better than them playing, better than them being a student. They're unbelievable people. We'll be right back with people of Princeton, Viking Voices. Thank you.
On air or online, this is media for your community. This is ICRC-TV.
Welcome back to People of Princeton, Viking Voices. Sometimes I say Viking Voice to People of Princeton. Sometimes I go back and forth. You just never know. So our first segment, we had Coach D. Davis, but we first talked about her big role in the district, which is being a wellness coordinator. Didn't go in deep into that yet, but we will maybe in subsequent episodes. But this episode was about her winning and coaching and being part of an unbelievable team to win the state championship. We have 2 of her underclassmen superstar players with us today. Young ladies, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Heaven.
I'm Callie Porton.
Okay, and actually Heaven, she's a great player, but she's not gonna be known just as Heaven. She actually has a last name too.
Heaven Sneed.
Okay, thanks, Heaven. That's good. Mario, why don't you start us off with a couple questions that I know are pressing to you?
Okay, so I know that you guys are students as well as players. So how do you guys balance? I always talk about time management because it's huge. So how do you guys balance both being a student in the classroom and being a player on the court?
So we always have study hall. So I will always get my work done in study hall if I haven't got it done in class. Or if I have free time at home, usually I wouldn't, but if I did, I would do it at home too.
So studies hall is like very important part of our program. So we will always do that first, and not like for us to be a student athlete, the student always comes first. So study hall was like a major important event that we will always take advantage of. So sometimes it would get hard, but we will always have study hall to like keep us back on track if things would go down.
Excellent. That's a good point. So, Callie, let's confront something right now. Because I think sometimes when we talk about the importance of studying, when you talk about the importance of grades, we have unbelievable students here a lot of the time. But we know that it's not always easy, right? So talk about a time that you had to kind of overcome some things when maybe you were really, really excited about getting to the basketball court, but you knew you had to study first.
Of course. Like, so many classes can be hard. Classes are hard.
Yes.
And
you know why I'm asking that question, right? Okay.
Classes are hard. And then having, and like being excited going on for the rest of your day about something happening at practice or things you get to do in practice, but knowing you have to study first or like a big test coming up. So like you would have to put your study first. So you would have to take an extra couple of minutes in study hall or extra couple of minutes after practice to study because like it comes first. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, excellent. So Heaven, as you transition to the high school, I don't think there was anybody that watched you play that would have thought you were a freshman. Nobody. In fact, we beat Olmsted Falls. I was really excited, super glad to bring back state championship. It was great being on the court and seeing that. And I don't even know if you guys know this, but I had two really good friends of mine, one the superintendent of Olmsted Falls and the associate or assistant superintendent are really good friends of mine. In fact, we talked before the game. We congratulated each other after the game. It was unbelievable. And they said, that girl that played defense, man, I'm so glad we don't have to see her again. I said, only for 3 more years. So talk about what was it like coming to the high school with huge expectations and being a freshman playing varsity?
I was nervous. I was actually nervous. I didn't know if I was going to play varsity, actually. But when Coach Davis put her trust in me, I had a role. And my role was to stop the best player on the court. And when she told me to do that, that's all I was thinking of. When I had to stop Maddie Parrish, when I had to stop the girl from Homestead Falls, she put her trust in me, and I did what she asked me to.
Okay, that was awesome. So it's basically the trust in other people. And when we think about trust, I know, Mario, we talk about having trusting relationships all the time. Ask either one of them a follow-up question regarding the importance of trust in relationships.
Yeah, so you have to trust each other on court. So, of course, you have to make relationships outside of the court to be able to trust these ladies. How do you feel you guys had team bonding, or how do you feel you guys worked on that outside of the court? Because it's not just about what goes on the court, but also what happens outside of the court.
Team bonding was always like a big thing for us. We were always close outside of the court, so it wasn't really hard to be close inside of the court. Team bonding, it was like really fun. We would all get along. Of course, we're gonna get along. It's team bonding. Yeah. But like we were just already close, so it wasn't that hard to like get closer.
Yeah.
So, Callie, to say that you had a great state championship game would be an understatement. I mean, woo! Especially that first half and the beginning of the second, you were dominant. And just a sophomore. Some pretty high expectations.
Yeah.
Now, rumor has it there's some colleges that have been knocking on your door. Can you talk about a few of those?
Yeah, a few of the colleges, they've been coach, I'm not allowed to talk to them, so my coaches would be like letting me know. So like, it's like really crazy to have like people like try to talk to me because like I feel very proud of myself to see that I'm getting like some attention.
So can you talk about a couple of colleges that have reached out? Is that okay?
Yeah, so like colleges like Boston and like Maryland and like East Coast and like other colleges.
So Big Ten, ACC.
Yes, Auburn.
Oh, wow, SEC too.
Yes.
Coaches, what are you doing? She's a stud. Get off your booties and give her a call. Callie Fortson, you could reach her at 51. No, just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But we probably should. Dominant performance or whatever. But you know, one of the things, too, that always strikes me is you're very, very humble. So talk to us about humility, either one of you. What's the why is it important to be humble?
It's not, in my opinion, it's not good to have a big head. Like, of course, we want a state championship, but we have 3 more years and the job isn't done. Like, we want to get 3 more, actually. Yeah. So if the job isn't done at all, we won 1 state championship. We can win more. We can win more. We can win more. So I don't think the job is done at all.
Kelly?
I agree. Like, being humble is like a big thing to me. I don't like people like bragging can be good. Bragging is good, but like constant did this and this, like, okay, you did it. Go do more. There's so much more that we can do. Like, we're not done.
So essentially, you guys don't want to live in the past. You guys want to
Yes.
just be part of creating your own future.
Keep moving forward.
So, I was walking down the hallway the other day, and someone said to me, Mr. Burton, do you still play basketball? And I said, every once in a while, I'll shoot. And is it true that you had a nightmare, Heaven, when you thought about how impossible it would be to guard me?
No, I've never had that one.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Your defense is stifling, as I mentioned before, like crazy, crazy, crazy. But there has to be something inside. It seems like it'd be so easy to try to stop somebody. But what happens when somebody gets past you and scores when maybe you should have stopped them? What goes through your head?
I really like take that personal. Like, she really just went past me, but the next play is the biggest thing in my head. If she goes past me this play, next play. If she goes past me this play, next play. Like, next play, don't live in the past. Next play is the go-to. So.
Yep, Callie, you had a great state championship game. The semis, you made me a little bit nervous. Okay, but the only reason why is because sometimes they throw an entry pass and you kind of bobble it a little bit. But there's a purpose that I'm bringing this up. So Heaven got burned a couple times, right? You're not perfect, but it's next play. So how do you deal with something in the game when you feel like, oh, I should have caught that. I should have made the layup. I should have taken my time. How do you deal with that?
I just do the same thing Heaven does. I always focus on the next play. Like, yes, I could have done this, but it's over now. I have to keep moving forward. Like, if someone gets the ball in front of me where I should have obviously like three-quarter defenser, I'm like, okay, just don't let her score. Don't let her score. She already got the ball. Just don't foul unnecessarily. Just don't let her score. Keep going.
So, Marielle, we did not plan this, did we? We didn't talk to them beforehand. Intentionally, we said we weren't going to have them prepared. But how perfect. Marielle, talk about the metaphor that they just talked about failing, but then taking that opportunity to learn. Go.
Yeah, continuing to go forward, continuing
Yes.
to move forward despite your failures or things that you may not have done correctly. And I always say that it's never a failure if you keep on trying. You haven't failed yet if you continue to move forward. So I'm really proud that you ladies have learned that through basketball.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Hey, another great segment. We have two more coming up. Stay with us. Viking Voices, the people of Princeton. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ICRC-TV Sports. That's going to be a ball game. Princeton takes the match.
Shot, goal! Breaks a tackle at the 10-yard line. Touchdown, Vikings!
Welcome to Viking Voices, the people of Princeton. Here today, Hall of Fame students in a Hall of Fame school. As always, go Vikes! Welcome back to Viking Voices. I continue to be Tom Burton, proud superintendent of Princeton City Schools, here with my amazing co-host,
Marielle Smith.
just unbelievable who she is and continues to ask really deep, thoughtful questions. So I'm actually going to turn this over to her since she knows our next guest so well. Marielle?
So Henry, obviously we've taken a couple classes together, so I know that your course schedule is not easy at all, but also you play baseball as well, and you've managed to make it in top 20 despite all of this. So how do you continue to time manage? As I've asked the girls previously, time management is huge as a student. So I want to ask you, how do you time manage?
I always put school first. You can ask my hitting coach. He actually got mad at me a few times because I'll choose studying for a calculus test over coming in to hit, and the baseball schedule. The coach makes it very important that we get our schoolwork done. If we have bad grades, he will come in and pull us out of class. And I've never had to deal with that, but I know a lot of my teammates have had to deal with him coming in second bell when they get right to school and taking them out of class and talking about grades.
No, that's outstanding. So Henry Haig, third baseman extraordinaire. He's done played a lot of different positions, all right? I think you started at one point catching and did some other things, right? I love the fact you talked about student. I love you made it about student. So sometimes what we do, Henry, on this show is we talk about AP, and people are like, well, what's AP? So talk a little bit about top 20. What does that actually mean?
I meant trying hard to me. The top 20 isn't necessarily the smartest kids in the school. It's more about the kids who endured throughout high school and did whatever they could to get good grades. I know everybody in the top 20, even outside the top 20, all the adversity that we had to face through freshman year, COVID, sophomore year we were hybrid, and then even junior year we started until March 1st with our mask. And I remember the first day we didn't have masks was the ACT. And so the top 20 really meant just doing your work and trying hard, which is important.
Yeah, so I think it's all those things, also taking advantage of opportunities. I know Marielle beforehand, she's going to make fun of you because she had some really serious advanced placement questions to ask you. Like you're taking the advanced placement test for maybe calculus or something else. Marielle, you want to ask him about differential equations?
No, I'm not going to treat you like that. I'm not going to do you like that.
So, Marielle, what are some attributes, being in classes with Henry before, what are some attributes that Henry has that really sets him apart?
I would definitely say his focus and his drive. I think that classes are hard in themselves, so especially the classes that we've taken together, I always see him in AP, CCP courses. So I know that just in that, studying with him, in that sense, his focus and his drive and always asking questions and making sure that he understands the content over, anything else in the classroom, which can be a distraction at times.
So Henry, you've taken CCP or College Credit Plus program. Or classes. How many classes have you taken?
The CCP classes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe 5 or 6 throughout high school.
So 5 or 6 classes, 3 credits in college. So 15 hours, 15 to 18 hours, you've already knocked out of college, and you're not even in college.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That's actually something that we probably should take more advantage of across the board. Marielle, did you have CCP classes as well?
Yes, I did.
How many?
I had 4.
4.
Yes.
That's amazing. So let me do a quick time out of this segment. I'm going to look specifically at the camera right now. College can be for anybody if they want, if they choose, right? So really huge on pathways. No question. So it's college, career, or military, right? But ultimately, everybody is in a career. But if you start college and you're at Princeton, you want to take those classes, we have those available all over the place. You heard from 2 great students here that took advantage of that actually will be starting as second semester freshmen. So let's talk about college. You're playing? You're going to go to college?
I'm not playing, but I am going to college, University of Cincinnati.
Well, yeah, they may still come knocking. I don't know.
I hope.
You hope?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you actually wanted to do, is play college baseball?
That was probably the hardest decision I've ever made in my life, was debating whether to go play or just go and focus on school.
Yeah. So you ultimately chose to focus on school. So how do you feel that transition is going to be when you see people on the diamond?
I'll probably feel good that I'm not playing on the diamond, just because I know how hard it is to manage school and baseball, and I can't imagine going and playing in college and having to manage the college classes, because I know I've taken these college classes during baseball season, but also high school baseball is a little bit more relaxed on everything, and I know plenty of Bearcats baseball players, and they wake up 11 o'clock, have practice, go and study, come back at 2 o'clock to play a 5 o'clock game, get home at 8. I couldn't imagine having to do both.
So I took a chance, Marielle. I wasn't sure what Henry was going to say on that one, but you actually said it what I was hoping. Because in life, we have to make some really difficult decisions. Sometimes what we do is we take the easier way out. Marielle, talk a little bit with Henry about a situation that you may have had where you actually made a difficult decision, just like Henry did.
Yeah, so I had to pick between early graduating or deciding to do Cinderella and have some fun. So I think for me, I think the biggest decision for me was seeing, okay, maybe I can take a little bit more courses anyway and do Cinderella and maybe have some fun. But I knew that Cinderella would be hard because it was 5 days a week, every single day from 2 to 6. And I knew that those hours were really, really long, and I knew I didn't want to get home and have to do CCP homework or anything like that. But I decided to stay in school because I didn't want to take the easy way out, just because of the simple fact that I didn't maybe want to do all the schoolwork, or I wanted to be lazy and sit at home and be on my phone. And I was like, I have the summer to do that. So I'll just decide to stay here and do the things that I need to do and get those extra college credits that I can take into college with me.
So we joked earlier about you being able to hit a three-pointer, right?
Yes.
I think sometimes athletes, and I played 3 sports, did a lot in high school, and sometimes I think athletes look at other people and think, oh, no one works as hard as me, right? And we have this physical sport or whatever, but that was beautiful, 2 to 6, all right? So Henry, how long were your baseball practices?
3 hours.
Not as long as Cinderella.
No. Not
Now,
as long.
do you know the story of Cinderella, Henry?
The shoe and the losing
Yes,
the shoe. Yeah.
the glass slipper. Okay. Marielle? Anything now on Cinderella and the glass slipper?
It's definitely back where it belongs. It's not with me anymore. I'm really happy that it's not. I was really tired after the whole process, but it's definitely been a fun process to make friends and just have those normal, just kid-like moments at school. That was really, really fun. And also to reach out to younger kids and show them that, oftentimes we see so much of the sports and things like that, we don't think about what is behind the scenes and the things like theater and things like that. So to just reach out to the younger kids and say, you don't have to be a soccer player or anything like that. You can also do other things. So just to be able to do that was really, really fun as well.
Yeah, and so Henry, unfortunately, I know the season ended too soon, right? It was a tough loss. I was so frustrated because they got this other team we played got a couple like bloop singles. And I was like, oh my God, I think we gave up 3 or 4 runs on bloop singles. They're a good team, right? They got a bunch of Division I players, but talk about what it was like preparing for that game, how excited you were to play on that big stage.
Well, so my family has been through Princeton, and my dad, the biggest rivalry in Ohio was always Moeller against Princeton. And so playing Moeller is always, it's the biggest thing that you could do as a Viking. And so the moment that we heard that we were playing them, it was focus. We had practice Friday and Saturday, and then we had Sunday off for graduation, and then Monday it was all focus. The practice was probably the best practice we ever had. The batting practice before the game was the best that we had, and it was the focus that everybody brought really made what playing a sport and doing anything like why you do it. Yeah. The competitiveness that we brought in there is why you play sports.
Yeah, and it's always sad when a season ends, especially when it ends too soon. But the reality is, like, there's so many lessons to learn. Like, you put your best foot forward. What would you have done different in preparation?
Trusted more. Trusted that we could have actually won more.
Been there, like that belief, right? But in terms of physically, you said best practice ever, right? You celebrated graduation, which you should, but then the next day, that focus. That right there is what we have to do in life. Not just when we're the big stage, whether baseball or Cinderella, but just in life. Mario, I'll close with one final question to Henry about, like, maybe perseverance, taking one more step.
Okay, so I know that even though you may not have won your last game, still I know that you guys were very, very proud of your season. And you seem to me to be very, very proud of the season that you had. So how do you still, after a game like that, not think about the loss, but just think about the good things out of the season? How do you continue to move forward?
One of the most successful since like 2008 or something like that. It was crazy success.
I think it's seeing the underclassmen and inspiring them because of how we had 3 freshmen start, we had a sophomore catcher start. Seeing them like be upset and like congratulate all of us, it really made me think like this isn't the end. And even after a hard loss, we had changed the perspective of baseball. We had the first base line was filled with Princeton supporters. Mm-hmm. The behind the plate was filled with Princeton supporters. And I remember playing sophomore year, on the nicest day of the year, we had maybe 10 fans. And so seeing that we were able to change the culture and change how people thought about the baseball team really just made the loss a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when you look at baseball, I know that you know who my son used to play baseball, Bryce, and when he was on the team, we'd go there and we'd always say, man, I just wish more people were here, because they had a really good team, but not as successful as yours. So it was awesome going to games and walking up and seeing a lot of people there, and that support, and that is something I think that our community will get behind, people that are trying really, really hard, even though some of the games, as you know, we know we should have or could have won, right? Some of them. So even when that happens, people kept coming back because there was something special that was there, right? That was great. Well, Henry Haig, thanks for joining us, being here. Senior, going to UC next year. Do you know the cheer? What they do? Do you know how to do it? Yeah, show everybody. How do you do that, Henry?
I don't want to embarrass myself.
The biggest thing is going the right way.
I don't want to go
the wrong way. So, Henry, thanks for joining us at Viking Voice of the People of Princeton. We'll be right back with our last segment, and just wait till you see this one.
On air or online, this is media for your community. This is ICRC-TV. On air or online, this is media for your community. This is ICRC-TV.
Welcome back to Viking Voice of the People of Princeton. Marielle Smith. Today, we have the legend, Dr. Mary Phillips, with us today. Dr. Phillips, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you with some of these questions I'm going to ask you?
Ooh.
Like maybe a 12?
Yeah, I would say 12.
You should be prepared. You should be prepared. But actually, I'm going to, Marielle, why don't you start off with a question for somebody who I know you really respect. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get to some humor in a little bit, but let's be serious to start.
Okay, so I know that you have been an associate superintendent here for quite some time, and you've worked in the Princeton district for 43 years. Mm-hmm. So that's a really, really long time. How do you work on empowering students within the building for those 43 years that you've been here?
Oh gosh, great question, Marielle. I've had a lot of different positions. I've been a teacher, a counselor, assistant principal, director of student services, assistant superintendent. So I've had lots of different roles. And in each of those roles, I've had to be able to work with students and be authentic with students about what it is they need, et cetera. And so I've just been able to find out what their interests are and be able to work with them and get them to move forward in their educational career. So I feel like being open and honest with students as well as staff has really allowed me to be able to empower them, to let them know that they can do whatever they want to do.
It would be impossible to try to pinpoint one or two things. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the impact that you've had. So 43 years in Princeton, 46 years overall in education. Mm-hmm. That longevity really says a lot. But sometimes I feel like people miss. Mm-hmm. Like they celebrate the years, they don't celebrate like the moments, that like the big things that have happened in a career. Mm-hmm. Most difficult question you're gonna have right now. Mm-hmm. Pick a couple that stand out to you. of moments, big moments that you know I was part of something special?
Wow, that's a good one. I started as an assistant principal in '86, and the good thing about Princeton...
I was 5 years old in '86, by the way. Just kidding.
The good thing about Princeton is that we followed our students. So I had them as a counselor because I had them in 7th and 8th, and then 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And so when we got to the 12th grade year and they were graduating, there was something about that feeling because I had seen them as really an elementary student, you know, and I had seen them grow so much and be able to make decisions about what they really truly wanted to do. And so I can remember my last speech to them, and it was a very passionate speech, and it took me some time to get through. And as I got through the speech, I remember it was in the gymnasium, I started crying. And students started crying as well. And I really felt like, you know, that there was that bond that I had provided only because I had been with them for so long. And their parents really trusted me. I trusted the parents as well, to make sure that they felt that I was doing what I needed to do to get their children through. And there were some rough times, but so I think that was my first experience as an administrator moving forward with those students. So that was one. Another time that I really felt something was, you know, it's good to be able to see the students that you've worked with for a long time, and then now they come back to Princeton and they're teachers. And so the first day when we had new teacher orientation, seeing those I still call them students, but seeing those adults sitting there and knowing that I had something to do. I mean, just with them being successful, and knowing that they were going to be able to be in our district and work with our students and do some of the things that I know that they could do. I mean, that made me feel really good. And I really felt like I had a impact on them. And many of the students who I see now, or the adults that I see now who have children in the district, they come back and they say, "You really made a difference in my life, Dr. Phillips. You taught me this, you taught me that, or you kept me going, or you could have suspended me many times." I've had many kids to actually come up and say, "I am so sorry that I was a pain. I know that, you know, I did many things that were not right, and I didn't tell you the truth, and my parents were on you, and I just want to say that I am so sorry." And I've had so many students to do that only because I see them because they're still in the district. And of course I'm like excited because, you know, they're doing great things, so obviously you don't hold that against them. But those are things that I feel that I really have made a difference in the lives of the students that I've worked with. And I just feel like, you know, I really don't feel like I'm ready to leave Princeton, but obviously it's time. But I feel like I've truly impacted a lot of the students and teachers as well. I mean, there are many teachers who have confided in me on many things. And I've worked through it and helped them through it, and they come back and share that with me as well. In fact, some of them are still here in the district, so that makes me feel good.
You know, it's not surprising that when given an opportunity to talk about all these different moments that you've had, your focus is students. So I think leaving education with that same passion, that same fire, to doing more, to creating equitable opportunities for students, like what we were able to do with the C Summit and what we've been able to do in so many different other aspects. It's remarkable. For those people who don't know, let me just say that Dr. Phillips had been in district for a long time and then retired and did some work around the state of Ohio, was asked to come back, came back when Dr. Tucker reached out to you, my predecessor, and then after that, then you had an opportunity to leave again. And then board member came and said some things, and lo and behold, we get an opportunity to work together even closer than what we did before.
Right, absolutely.
So one of the best decisions I ever made in my entire educational career, 36 years, Marielle, doesn't seem like much next to Mary's. It was 72 years or something? I don't even know how long she's been there. No, just kidding, 46 years. But when I look back at decisions I could have made, there was a lot of different things. Could have brought somebody else in, could have done whatever. That was like, it was so simple for me. And the impact that you made just on my life. And just each and every day, because we know that you battle. We battle through, like you talked about the students, but then you said, you know, we went through some things. But Marielle, talk to Dr. Phillips about perspective from someone just going through Princeton, getting ready to graduate. Why is perspective important to you? And then follow that up with a question.
Of course. So perspective is so important to me, and I also feel like representation is very, very important to me. So even down to just as a young kid in middle school, I feel like representation and perspective is so important. So my perspective of those around me and the people who are helping me and my principals and the people that I love. So it's normally, you know, just I can make a decision on if I feel like someone is a good person just based off of them walking past me or saying hello. So I think that it's so huge that you make that a responsibility for you to make sure that you reach out to students, and when you walk down a hallway you say hello, and when you just, and I think little things like that can make or break a person's day. So I think that it's huge, that perspective is huge. But how do you remain, I know that everybody has bad days and good days, so I know that sometimes there are bad days that teachers may have or students may have, but you still continue to be that person for so many students, even on those days that just may not be good days for you.
So how do I do that?
Yes.
That's hard.
I mean, uber positive, right, Marielle? Have you ever seen her down? Right, it's always smiling, always happy. Yeah, I think that's a great question.
I always try to be, look at the glass half full, and that's what I've been taught. My parents taught me that, my mom taught me that, because we had lots of downtime, but I found something good in situations. And so I really try to do that, and granted, I hold a lot of things in, which is probably not good, but I do. But what I strive to do is to look at every day as an opportunity. And you know, we had an opportunity to. I had an opportunity. Mr. Burton nominated me to receive an award at the Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators, and we talked about. You know, they talked about having a student that you wanted to recognize, and so really thought about that not for a long time, but I went to Mr. Burton and I said, you know, that student that I want to recognize is you, you know, because
wait, Marielle got an award?
Marielle got an
award. Oh my goodness.
And so, but you just exemplify a lot of things that I like to see in students. And you're talented, you're great singer, you just do so much, you know, you're smart, and so I felt like that recognition needed to be. There's a lot of kids in our district, students in our district, that have those same characteristics and those same talents, but it was you that I saw. Oh, maybe it's because you're in so much and you do so much, and I see you all the time. I mean, that probably could have happened as well. Mr. Burton really speaks highly of you too, and so, and you're kind of close. My name is Mary Ellen, and so we got kind of a name. We got kind of the same name, but yeah. So so I try to, you know, I try to keep that perspective of looking at things with the glass half full.
So Dr. Phillips and I, we have all these conversations. We talk all the time, and one of the best things I think about you is what everybody here saw. forever captured on video. We were talking about perspective. And then it goes back to students. And praising other people, recognizing an entire district filled with kids that have unique, unbelievable experiences, because that's who you are. And after 46 years, it's a blessing to be able to work alongside with you. I've said this before, no better colleague in my entire life, Marielle, than this one. Being able to work alongside with her, and she pushes me in such a nice, gentle way. I mean, she's wrong a lot. She knows that, I have to tell her that, but she'll push me to think differently, and a lot of times that barometer that we have to have in life. You talked about friends, you talked about the influence of outside noise and all that stuff, and the importance of having somebody in your life to be that person. And you've been that way with me for 8 years, but the last 5 really trying to, you know, reinvigorate and do some things maybe a little bit differently in a community to look at the beauty of Princeton different. So neither one of you know this, but today my day started, my last day with students, and we know this is going to air much later than today, but started 6:45, around 6:45, 7 o'clock I got in. We recognized a student. It was awesome. They got a $250 scholarship, and then the person who was named after gave another $250. So it was awesome. Another graduated, one of your friends, J.D. Lorenzo, got this scholarship, which was great. But J.D. talked about the Princeton advantage. Didn't even prompt him. Didn't say anything. Talked about the Princeton advantage. His mother talked positively and passionately to us about how she had a choice. She moved from another district, and she was scared about coming to Princeton. Man, you talk about a beautiful way of starting your last day with kids, people praising an entire educational community. So Mary, you've done so many great things for Princeton. The last thing right now is going to be captured. What message you want to leave to those people that you worked with, the students you served, an entire educational community? You've left an incredible legacy that will be unmatched. What do you want to say to a community for the very, very last time?
Princeton is, there's no other place like Princeton. I mean, I think you captured it in terms of that Princeton advantage. You know, we have a very diverse population of students. And we are able to truly meet that mission statement, empowering each student for college, career, and life success. When I think about the graduation class, and we graduated, 100% of our students graduated, that's awesome. And so when we really talk about that, that mission statement of empowering students for college, career, and life success, Princeton does that. And so I would say to the community, to parents, that you made a great choice to have your students to be at Princeton. They leave here knowing that they can work with anybody. They are ready for college. They are ready for the military. They're ready for, you know, the career because of the kind of programming that we have put forward to make them successful. You know, I always say there's nothing that Princeton offers everything, and we're able to meet the needs of all of our students. And so when we think about really trying to create those equitable opportunities for our students, I think we've done a great job in doing that. And I think that parents need to know that we work hard every day, but the bottom line is really about students. I mean, students are first, and I think that happens with our staff, obviously with our administration, with our Board of Education. When we think about decisions that we have to make, it really comes down to what is best for students. And while we think about how is this going to affect the adults, but the real purpose of our decision making is about students. And so I would say that there's no place like Princeton. I wouldn't, you know, people say, why didn't you think about leaving? You know, there are reasons, you know. God has reasons why he puts people in certain places. And I think that, you know, the reason that he put me at Princeton for 43 years is to really be able to show that, you know, you can influence students in so many different ways and help create pathways for them. And so,
well, you certainly have done that and then some. Mariella, how appropriate would it have been when Dr. Phillips was talking about there's no place like Princeton if you actually started in the Wizard of Oz? Wouldn't that be great? There's no place like home. You click the heels and off you go. Wouldn't that have been awesome? But she didn't do that. But it's still appropriate when you think about the fact, especially when you talk about perspective and trying to draw a parallel with Cinderella. Like, it doesn't matter, like Dr. Phillips did. She went down to students every single time. And sometimes people feel like they're just not as big as they want to be, or they want to do that. But perspective is so critical, and that's something that I hope people remember in life. Like, there's going to be failures, but you have to, you know, it's to me, it's not even about half full. It's the fact that there's water there. Like, we always have to feel that. And so, Dr. Phillips, you've done such a great job. Left this incredible, indelible mark that literally is unmatched. And I will say that as we transition away from this show, there's no better way to end than ending it with you, as you leave behind such an incredible legacy, and people like Marielle, who's going to carry it forward, because I know you've talked so much with Marielle, with C Summit and other experiences and all that stuff. So thank you on behalf of the whole educational community. We can't thank you enough for the selfless service and being there each and every day for students.
thank you very much.
And every once in a while for me. That was great. Hey, thanks for joining us, Viking Voice of the People of Princeton. 4 for 4, 4 incredible segments. Stay tuned for more. We're going to have one more episode before I transition, so I'm going to not say goodbye, but I will say this to Dr. Phillips, to the entire educational community. She said there's no place like Princeton. She's right. And one of the corny things, among all the many corny things that I would say, is no matter where you try to find Princeton on a map, you'll never be able to find it. There is no Princeton city in Ohio, in Southwest Ohio. You're not going to find it. We represent 4 incredible villages, 2 cities, parts of 3 counties, 3 townships, and then some. There's only one place you'll ever find Princeton, and only one, and that's in your heart. I continue to serve as proud superintendent of Princeton City Schools, and of course, as always, go Vikes.